You know that moment when you're standing in your own home, looking at a piece of furniture that used to mean something to you, and now it just looks embarrassing? Not broken, not destroyed, just dead. Like the life got slowly drained out of it while you weren't paying attention. That table your father bought, those cabinet doors you saved up for, that floor that looked incredible the day it was installed, now they're gray, dull, rough, and somewhere in the back of your mind you've already accepted it. You've told yourself, that's just what happens to wood. That's just age. That's not age. That's a lie you were sold. Because there is a liquid, it costs less than $2, it fits in your palm, and it has been quietly sitting in hardware stores for over 100 years that reverses exactly what happened to that wood. Not covers it, not paints over it, actually reverses it. And the people who profit from selling you $50 and $60 wood restoration products have spent decades making sure you never ask about it by name. By the time this video ends, you'll know the name, you'll know why it works, and you'll understand exactly why they never wanted you to find out. But before we get there, I need you to understand something first, because if you skip straight to the name without understanding what's actually happening to your wood, you're going to use it wrong. And using it wrong means getting a result so bad, it'll make you think the secret isn't real. So stay with me for just a little longer, because what I'm about to tell you about wood changes everything. Wood is not just a material. It's a living system that died slowly, and kept dying long after it was cut. Inside every plank, every cabinet door, every tabletop, there are millions of tiny fibers running parallel to each other, bound together by natural oils that were present in the tree when it was still alive. Those oils are what give fresh wood its warmth, its depth. That feeling when you run your hand across a new piece and it feels almost soft, almost warm, even though it's hard. That's not the wood itself. That's the oil inside it. And here's what nobody in the wood care industry wants to explain to you clearly. Those oils evaporate. Slowly, invisibly, over months and years, every time sunlight hits the surface, every time you clean it with a product that strips instead of nourishes, every time dry air pulls moisture out of your home, the oil inside the wood fibers disappears. And once it's gone, the fibers start to separate. The grain opens up. The surface becomes porous and rough. The color turns flat and gray. The wood that once felt alive under your hand starts to feel like chalk. That's what you're looking at when you see damaged wood. You're not looking at something that broke. You're looking at something that dried out from the inside. And that distinction matters more than anything else in this video, because it tells you exactly what the solution is. You don't need to coat it. You don't need to sand it down and refinish it. You don't need to spend $60 on a bottle of something that smells like chemicals and delivers results that last 3 weeks. You need to put the oil back. That's it. That's the whole secret. Put the oil back, the right oil, applied the right way, and the wood does the rest itself. Now let me tell you how this secret almost disappeared completely. There was a time, not that long ago, when every serious woodworker, every furniture maker, every carpenter who worked with their hands for a living had one product they trusted above everything else for restoring dried out wood. It wasn't expensive. It wasn't complicated. It was passed down the way real knowledge gets passed down, not through advertising, not through magazine spreads, but through someone pointing at a shelf and saying, use that. Then something changed. The home improvement industry exploded. Hardware stores became retail experiences. Wood care became a category, a branded, marketed, premium-priced category, and suddenly the shelf space that used to hold simple, honest products was taken over by bottles with dramatic names and before and after photography and claims that bordered on the miraculous. The old product didn't disappear. It's still there. It never left. But it got buried, pushed to the bottom shelf, given no marketing, no placement, no endorsement, because there is absolutely no money in selling you something that costs $2 and works better than everything beside it. Here's how I know this is intentional and not accidental. Go to any hardware store right now and ask an employee to help you with wood restoration. They will walk you to the premium aisle every single time. They will point to the $40 bottle. They will describe the $60 system with the multiple steps and the special applicator pad. Not because they're dishonest, because that's what they've been trained to sell. The $2 tin on the bottom shelf is not part of any sales training because there is no margin in it for anyone. But the carpenters still know. The old furniture restorers still know. The people who learned their craft from someone who actually built things with their hands, they still know. And what they know is this: the most powerful wood restoration product ever discovered is a natural oil that has been in continuous use for over 300 years. It has no celebrity endorsement. It has no before and after campaign. It has no influencer partnership. It has something better than all of that. It has 3 centuries of proof. And now I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. Boiled linseed oil. That's the name. Write it down if you have to. Boiled linseed oil. It comes from flaxseed. It has been used by furniture makers, painters, shipbuilders, and craftsmen across every culture that ever worked with wood. A bottle of it costs between $1 and $2 at almost any hardware store on the planet. It sits in a plain tin or a plain bottle with no dramatic branding because no one has ever needed to market it. The wood speaks for itself. Here is why it works when nothing else does. When boiled linseed oil is applied to dry wood, it is thin enough to actually penetrate the surface and travel down into the open wood fibers. It doesn't sit on top like a varnish or a wax. It goes in. And once it's inside, it begins to cure, to slowly harden, bonding with the wood fibers from the inside and rebuilding the structural integrity that the original oils provided when the tree was still alive. The color returns because the fibers are saturated again. The smoothness returns because the grain closes back up. The warmth returns because the wood is no longer hollow and dry at its core. This is not a cosmetic fix. This is actual restoration. The difference matters, because cosmetic fixes wear off in weeks. What boiled linseed oil does lasts for years. Now here's exactly how you use it, because the application is everything. The oil is not magic on its own. Applied wrong, it leaves a tacky, sticky surface that takes days to cure and looks worse than what you started with. Applied correctly, it produces results that will make you stand back and question why you ever spent money on anything else. First, clean the surface. Not with water. With mineral spirits on a clean lint-free cloth, wiped in long strokes with the grain. You are not stripping the finish. You are removing any wax, grease, old product residue, or surface contamination that would block the oil from penetrating. Let it dry for 30 minutes. The surface needs to be completely dry before the oil touches it, because oil and moisture together do not cure, they just sit there and make a mess. Second, apply less than you think you need. This is where almost everyone goes wrong the first time. Take a small amount of boiled linseed oil on a clean lint-free cloth, not a brush, not a sponge, a cloth, and rub it into the wood in long, firm strokes following the grain. You are pressing it in, not painting it on. The wood will darken immediately and visibly, and you will feel the texture change under your hand from rough and chalky to smooth and responsive. Work in sections. Take your time. After 15 to 20 minutes, buff off every trace of excess oil with a dry, clean cloth. Run your palm across the surface. It should feel smooth, not greasy, not tacky, smooth. If it feels even slightly tacky, keep buffing. Excess oil on the surface is the enemy. It cures on top of the wood instead of inside it, and turns into a film that takes days to clear. Let it cure overnight in a ventilated space, 12 hours minimum. The next morning, apply a second coat exactly the same way. Thin, pressed in, buffed off. Another overnight cure. For most pieces, 2 coats is enough. For wood that has been neglected for years, outdoor furniture, antique pieces, floors that haven't been touched in decades, a third coat will take the transformation from impressive to something that genuinely doesn't look real until you touch it. One thing that is not optional? The rags. Linseed oil rags generate heat as they cure and can spontaneously combust if left bunched up. Lay every used rag completely flat outdoors to dry, or put them in a metal bucket filled with water. Once dry and stiff, they are safe to discard. This takes 30 seconds and it matters. When the final coat is cured and you come back to that piece, the one you'd mentally given up on, the one you'd stopped seeing because you'd already accepted it as lost, what happens next is hard to describe without sounding like an exaggeration. But here it is honestly. The wood looks like it remembered what it was supposed to be. The gray is gone. The grain is back, not faintly, not partially, but fully, with depth and variation and that particular warmth that makes real wood look like nothing else in the world. The surface feels the way good wood is supposed to feel. Solid. Smooth. Alive. And underneath that feeling is something else. Something quieter. You didn't buy a replacement. You didn't call someone. You didn't spend $60 on a product that delivered $20 of result. You spent $2 and an hour of your time, and you brought something back that the entire wood care industry had quietly convinced you was gone forever. That knowledge, that you now know what the Carpenters knew, what the craftsmen passed down, what the industry buried under decades of premium branding, that knowledge is yours now. And it's going to change how you see every piece of wood in your home. Go find the worst one. Start there. And drop a comment below telling me what you're bringing back. I read every single one.